Good morning. It is Wednesday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Oh, I guess that's our camera. I'm not sure. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Shrewsbury Council on Aging Board of Directors. The board adheres to the open meetings law and Robert's Rules of Order. This meeting is being streamed by the Town of Shrewsbury Cable, and it is produced today by Liz Pekowski and may be found on the town website. I'm Alex Roman, chairperson of the board, the Council on Aging staff in attendance, Holly Luke, director of the Council on Aging, Casey Bogan, assistant director, and to my right, Renee D'Argento, outreach coordinator. Board members in attendance are Betsy Zug, Raquel Kleeman-Weber, Lori
Wexler.
Webster.
Wexler.
Wexler. I should have kept my glasses on. And Lori Jones, secretary. We do have a quorum, and there is no representative from the town, from the Friends. So, okay, let me see if I can wake my tablet up again to get the agenda up. I'll look on yours for a second. Okay, so the meeting has been called to order. We need to review and act to accept the January minutes. Are there any amendments to the minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Moved, second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. No Friends representative. The financial reports. Holly?
Yep, so I'm actually going to, I hope everybody received my email last evening. So after Casey and I kind of spent some time looking at the Munis reports, we realized that they're starting to get maybe a little bit more confusing as we have more grants that we need to take money out and it needs to be reimbursed. So Casey spent some time kind of dissecting those reports, so I'm actually going to hand it over to Casey today.
All right, so I put some terms to know on the financial reports that were sent out yesterday. This came from a meeting that we had with someone from accounting just to better understand the reports, because Holly and I both kind of panicked a little bit the other day. So we got some explanation, which was very helpful. So anywhere you see a rollover within any of the funds, that's funds from previous years still in Munis. It's not anything from FY24, and it might be multiple years rolled over, not just the previous year. Encumbrances are expenditures that have been accounted for but not yet paid. So for example, purchase orders that haven't been fully liquidated or liquidated at all, but they are accounted for. And then our year-to-date actual are expenditures that have been paid in fiscal year 24. And then the available budget is the full amount paid plus that rollover.
Casey?
Yes.
When I hear available budget, I think of what the money that's left over after everything's been paid.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And I kind of broke it down a little bit more in the formula grant section. So once we get to that, I'll get into it a little bit more. Full disclosure, the more I looked at it yesterday, the more confused I got again. I felt like I wrapped my head around it and then I got confused again. So it's just Munis is difficult for people who are not in accounting to really read as far as budgets go. So just try to keep that in mind. We only know so much. But we're trying to understand it as best we can.
Well, it's kind of weird down there,
So, all right, we'll go into the general fund. So that's our town budget, salaries, etc.
And
Yeah.
sorry, always make notice of the page you're at, so we know where you are.
Yep. So I'm on page 1 still.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. But I'm going to go down to, where's the full thing for that? Is that page? So on page 4, you'll notice that there is a longevity payment that is for employees that have been here for an extended period of time. They get longevity payment. So that's for Cynthia. She's been here for, what, 27 years?
28.
28 years. So she gets an additional $350 for that. If we continue down to page 6, we have our Council on Aging OpEx. That's our operating funds. So that includes like our phone.
Hold on just
yeah.
a second. Let me scroll up. Okay.
Yep.
Page 6.
Yep.
All right.
Our utility and phone, which we don't see, that's paid for by accounting. Hospital and medical is within there, so that is what we have paid for, DOT exams and substance testing.
Drivers.
Yep, for the drivers, yep. Services not classified, those are some things that don't quite fit in any specific place. Another thing to note here is that anything on a negative, that looks like it's negative on here, is actually a deposit. So all negatives are always revenue, so that's money coming in.
Going back to services not classified, the kitchen stove,
Yep.
that couldn't be capitalized?
No. So capital requests are done once a year. So those having the stove replaced is where that falls under services not classified, because we don't predict that our stove is going to break. So therefore the town gives us money for those occasions, and that's where that came out of.
Okay.
Any other questions on that one?
So that's page 8 right now.
Yep. So we still have a bit of funds in there, 214402. We have paid our print postage stationery for the newsletters. That's been paid out for this fiscal year. It's all at the bottom of page 8. And then on page 9, we have our office supplies. We do have a little bit of a discrepancy here, so we're going to do a reconciliation, as we've seemed to have overdrawn that specific part at this point. But we do have
I'm
the
sorry,
funds elsewhere.
where are you seeing that?
Page 9, total office supplies.
Oh, okay.
So on the summary, if it's
Got
a negative on the available budget, that is actually overdrawn. But everything else, within the line items, if it's negative, that's actually adding to.
So what happens with that is Casey and I will go in, we'll look at the invoices that are there and figure out what can we move from either there to a different line item or take it out of the formula grant altogether. So what we do is we put in a reconciliation request and we say, okay, we need to take 184.55 out of the operating for the general fund, and we would like to take that money and we would like to move those invoices into the formula grant.
So we are now in February, which means 5 months from still left for this budget year. Is it miscalculated for the amount of budget for this year, or because now we finished the budget for printing office supplies?
Yep, so only that section,
Yeah.
only that section we won't be able to draw out of anymore, which
That
means.
line item.
That, yes,
Yeah.
so the office supplies. So which means is, should we need more office supplies, we can either take that, figure out if we can take it from somewhere outside of the general fund, or if we need to take it out of the formula grant.
So when you move money from somewhere else, the original appropriation stays the same. Does that affect the revised budget?
No.
Is that how that
Nope.
works?
Nope.
How would it show up?
So let's
You would
just say
pay
we.
for it out of, I mean, you can't pay for it out of another line item.
We could if it falls underneath that category.
Right.
So otherwise, what we'll very likely do is take that 184.55 and move that back over to the formula grant, which means when we meet again in March, you might see that 184.55 turn into a 0, is what that's what we plan on doing.
Okay. We also have the car allowance and mileage. That's $1,000 per year. We still have about 650 left in there. If we go down to page 10, Our dues and memberships, those keep going up, but we still have $11.64 in there, and that's for MCOA dues,
ESWA.
yep, ESWA, all those kinds of fun things. Trainings and conferences, those are for like the MCOA conference that was in the fall. Holly and I are now trained in person-centered dementia care through the Alzheimer's Association. That one is in there as well.
Overdrawn too.
And then the leadership development is in there as well. So total available in the Council on Aging OpEx fund, we still have just over $3,000 left in there. So that is on page 11. So now we're going to go down to page 12 is where the formula grant starts, and this is where things get a little complicated. So I put a note in here that says state revenue is always deposits, even though it's marked as negative. Per accounting, revenue is always credits, and credits are always listed as negative. Also, I know that there was a question on this vendor web 79. That is actually our Mass DOT reimbursements through the vendor portal. So we aren't necessarily notified when that comes in, but that's where they go. They automatically go right into the formula grant. Any questions on that? Does that all make sense? Okay. All right, page 13 at the top, I highlighted vendor web number 78. That's the EOEA formula grant deposit. So that was deposited 11/30/2023, and that was $60,473 at that point. So continuing on page 13, this is the purchase of services where things get a little interesting. So we have that, what looks like negative 90,863. So that's rollover from multiple years previously, not just last year. So it's all the rollover up until 2023, correct? That was your impression too?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're on page 13
Yep,
at the
I'm
very
there.
bottom.
Yep, I'm
So looking at this 90.
Oh, that 90, okay, got it.
So under year-to-date actual is the 31,886.79. That's actual expenditures that have been paid in fiscal year 2024.
So what are, under personnel services, these $1,600 and so on, individual amounts, what are those?
Under personnel services, that's
Yes.
Salary for Pat and Donna.
Okay,
And then the 11,446.05, that is what is in our purchase order that has not been paid yet, or basically just money that's been accounted for but has not yet been fully expended.
I'm sorry, I'm not finding that number either.
That's right next to the
top?
Under the orange thing.
What
Kinda,
page?
The bottom
page 13 still, at the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah,
There's the 90, 31, and then the 11.
okay, thank you.
Yes. So actual available budget expenditures, including the pending purchase orders, is a total of $43,332.84. So that is the 31,886.79 plus the 11,446.05, or 134 minus the 90. I know it's confusing, and like I said, the more I looked at it yesterday, my brain started getting confused again. So that's how we understand it, but it does have a list going for purchase of services going from page 13 all the way down to middle of page 15. That's everything that's in Munis that we have paid or deposited in there. Mostly paid. And then there is a line item for supplies as well in the formula grant, so you can see that there are more supplies in there as well. So for purchase of services, we see what is available there. Supplies, if we go down, you can see we've put a lot under supplies as well for the formula grant, so we can just move, we'll likely move that excess in the general fund over here. So that is that. And then we keep going down. Page 16, or no, page 20 is where the formula grant ends. So total elder affairs grant, it's still showing available budget as about $14,700.10. So that doesn't exactly match what's on our Excel sheet or our Google Sheets, but I did go and look at, we have a total of $14,016.55 that is appropriated on our Google Sheet budget sheet that hasn't yet been paid. So we have that money set aside. We expect to spend that money, so we just put that in there ahead of time so that we don't go over it. And we also, that does not include the $5,000 buffer, so there's a little bit more of a buffer there as well. So it's important to keep in mind that Munis and our budget sheet are never really going to match exactly, but we are, we update the budget sheet every time we do invoices and deposits, so it should be the most up to date. Any questions on the formula grant? That makes sense? Okay. So next is the DOT grant, which we don't use.
Yep. We're on page, if you scroll down to 26, you can start there with the gift
Okay.
fund.
All right, 26. We are at the gift fund. Okay. We had the multicultural festival within there. We didn't get any donations or anything for that. And if we go down to page 27 is where we start seeing those deposits. So again, anything negative is actually a deposit. So if we go down to page, so it starts on end of page 27. The total, we keep down to page 30. Debt service, the available budget, that's the $11,526.80. So that is what we have left in the gift fund. Please keep in mind that we did use the gift fund for the nutrition grant, so that money from that will be going back into the gift fund as soon as we get reimbursed from MCOA. So that is not entirely accurate.
Yep, so if we can just go through the rest of the financial on Munis, and then then when Casey is done, I'm gonna come back to the gift fund, and the grants.
Question?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Sure.
In the gift fund for the donations, I noticed that there is a list of things that it looks like those donations went to. Were those designated by the donor that that's where they wanted them to go? So we had,
For
for
example?
instance,
What page are you on, Lori?
on
27.
27, like it says at the bottom of that page, Friends of Shrewsbury, $300 coffee machine. So
Yep.
is that, so, and then there's a whole list there of
Yep.
donation, newsletter. Do
Yep.
people designate where they want them, where it to go? when
Sometimes people
they?
do.
Okay.
Sometimes people do, and then when they don't, we will just mark it as donation.
Okay,
So that way we kind of have an understanding. So we started to do the jewelry into the gift fund. Every now and then we do get donations for the newsletter and things like that. So yes, that's exactly what it is.
thank you.
Yep.
So that last column there, are there designations.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. If we keep going down. So total gift fund, this is at the top of page 32. Like I said, 11,526.80, but again, much of that is going to get redeposited, refunded. And then we have the revolving fund for our vans. So we did start putting some donations in there as well. We started putting some jewelry funds from around the holidays into here just to kind of keep it at a reasonable pace, because this is how we pay for our white vans, the COA vans. We pay the driver salaries through this, as well as any maintenance for that. Those two vans. And then, if we go all the way down.
I have a question. On page 32, toward the bottom, miscellaneous revenue, like Shrewsbury Housing and made a payment of $1666.
Yep.
And that kind of thing is for their use of the van?
Yep.
And how do we determine how to price that?
Price.
It's typically $833.33 per month that they send us. They sent us 2 months at a time at that one. So that was,
And that covers the cost, that covers all operating costs?
It comes close. So the contract that we have with the housing authority is to make sure that we provide their clients transportation opportunities. So we also go above where monthly Renee and Cynthia will go to each one of those housing complexes and sit and ask questions. We provide the newsletters, we do some social events, but all while it's all tied into our transportation program. So the money that they give us assists with the COA van salaries, the COA van's maintenance, but it certainly does not cover everything that we need, which is why we started to move the jewelry money that we were getting from the gift fund into the revolving account, because we had no money going in. And if we don't have any money in the revolving account, we have no operating of our COA transportation, of our town-owned vans. So periodically, you might see something that comes with a cost, and that cost will say, all monies that are collected for this event are going into the revolving account to support our transportation. So you might start seeing flyers that say things like that.
So aside from town departments or agencies, are there any other outside groups that pay for the use of our van?
No.
Okay. All right.
and that's the last fund on here, right?
Yep. So, as Casey touched upon, when a lot of the grants that we apply for, and today I'll speak to the MCOA grant that we had. We got the two. One was for the Memory Cafe, and one was for the nutrition. Because our formula grant funds are like 75 to 85% already allocated for something throughout the year, the easiest way for us to track when we receive payments and when we put out invoices for those grants was to take some of it from the gift account, knowing that every penny of those things have already been approved by MCOA prior to the grant, so we will get that money back. So there isn't a deficit. It's just in that, or not even a deficit. It's not that we're losing any of that gift fund money, it's just that we're borrowing from it, and then it would be replenished.
So it's really just a cash flow issue?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It worked the same way last year with the respite grant.
Mm-hmm.
It was a reimbursement grant.
That's great.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that what you wanted to say about the financials when they finish?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, moving right along. Directors' reports. Outreach first,
All right.
and that would be Renee.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. This is American Heart Month, too. And at the Senior Center, we had a couple of Heart Month programs. One was presented by the Visiting Nurse Association, VNA Care, and we also had a brain health webinar that I had projected for residents. And we also had partnered with the Red Cross, our local Red Cross, to do an emergency preparation program for seniors. And the Red Cross also provides a free home safety assessment, as our fire department does as well, for people who request it. And they also will install free smoke detector and carbon monoxide alarms for people who request it. And they were available to talk about that as well. Other programs, people may be aware that Selco rolled out an internet assistance program for people who qualify, and that would take $20 a month off your internet service. And there are three ways you can qualify. One is if you're on a senior tax exemption program. Another is if you're on a SMOC heating assistance program. And the third, which I'm losing, don't recall, but in any case, for a lot of people, they're going to qualify through fuel assistance, and that means that for those who have not applied for fuel assistance, you really should do that, because then that will be like a 2-for-1. You can get your fuel assistance as well as get $20 off your internet service. And speaking of fuel assistance, we had a meeting with SMOC last week. It was a very productive meeting that they initiated to discuss how they're going forward with processing applications. And they're now pretty much at full staff. They had been short-staffed for a number of years, and they're catching up on, they will be caught up on applications through February pretty shortly. They were processing about 200 applications per week, and now they're up to 500 per week. So residents should start seeing, those awards coming through pretty soon. For those who have not received their applications, those were, I guess there was a mail glitch back in October. So you should either call SMOC and get your recertification application sent to you, or I can help you fill out a new application and send that along to SMOC. So no worries there. You have plenty of time through May 12th is the deadline. And Share the Warmth, the Selco electric program that gives assistance for that deadline is March 1st. So you can come see me on that one as well. Also, SMOC, they notified us that there's a lot of weatherization assistance available for residents. And again, you can apply for that program or get that through your fuel assistance application, and you can just request that. And that includes quite a lot. It's a full-scale home energy services program, and it commonly includes air sealing to reduce infiltration, attic insulation, which can be a big expense out of pocket for people, and they provide all of this for free. Even sidewall insulation, floor insulation, things like that. And they can do limited repairs to your heating system as well, if that's needed through that program. So, residents who are looking at the SMOC website, you can request weatherization assistance through that or through your application. Additionally, Holly brought up the grants for the grant for the food pantry, that's the nutrition grant. And I've been working on that with one of our small home repair volunteers, Steve Whiteley. He's a contractor. And he is going to be donating much of his labor to construct that food pantry, as well as getting us the cabinetry at his cost. So we're going to save a lot there and come under budget on that grant. Also, the sensory garden installation, we started with marketing that. We're looking for support from, residents and/or businesses to help us construct that garden. And Maria Smith of the Friends and I met last week, and I'm going to be working on a pamphlet that we'll be able to distribute to businesses and throughout. So, and again, the Friends gave us a $5,000 donation, and we also received one donation from Betsy as well. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it, if anyone has any questions.
Thanks to the Friends, and
Yeah.
thank you, Betsy.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
transportation, who
Yep.
has that?
So I have that. So we've been wildly successful with a lot of our special trips that are happening now each month with our COA vans. We've been trying to do 2 a day, so we kind of break them up early morning to later in the afternoon. So it might be like you go to Ocean State Job Lot in the morning, and then you can go to Longhorns, whatever it might be in the afternoon. One trip does not mean you have to go on the other trip, but we're trying to double those up to support our van drivers that work for us, to give the seniors in Shrewsbury an opportunity to get out and do fun things instead of always grocery trips or medical appointments and things like that. So one of our, I think the best one attended is the casino trips. So those will likely be a monthly event, if not twice a month. So keep an eye on those. Our new transportation model under the mobility management model with the WRTA is also vastly improving every day. We at the same time we were doing a new model is at the same time we were hiring new full-time van drivers. So of course with anything like that, time is of always on your side when it comes to collaborating those ideas that you have for your transportation, as well as ironing out those little hiccups that might happen. And the hiccups could be the time of day, the traffic, accidents, God forbid, but those kind of things. And now the van drivers that are with us, the full-time van drivers that are with us, have really become acclimated to their positions. We are receiving a lot of positive feedback, personal phone calls that say thank you, they had a good experience. With those, we do follow up on the phone calls and the concerns that we get where people might not have that great of an experience for whatever the case might be, whether it's if they were unfortunately late to an appointment or if the vans had to leave. We could kind of go over all of the policies and the guidelines of the WRTA so they understand why things happen the way that they do. And the fact that it is a new model with everything change is always difficult for a lot of people, myself included. So we just consistently support anybody that might have those kind of things going on, whether good or bad. So other than that, the transportation for the senior center is going very well. Next.
Questions?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
For the, if we're going to be increasing casino trips, I know we probably have very smart adults who make good decisions, but it is addicting. There's the possibility for that. So is there a chance that we also have information that's handed out, especially if people are going over and over and over again, only because I know of a situation where my mother went on a trip with friends and someone came back and basically had gambled away their rent money. So I just, as long as we're keeping an eye on that, you know, and or at least providing information to know how that works, and so that people have information on how to get help if there is a problem.
And in which case, whenever a scenario comes up that needs outside resources, we always bring them over to Renee. Renee's equipped with those situations. It is on our radar, just so you know. It seems as though that we do get a mix of people that go. We try to change the days too, so we don't always offer it on a Tuesday, so it's the same people that might have that availability every Tuesday. So we might offer it on a Wednesday, or we might go to a different casino, whatever it is. But it is on our radar, and as I mentioned, Renee is aware that just like the gambling, it's the frauds, the scams, and all of those things. So Renee has that.
I guess one of my points is, just like you have on a pack of cigarettes, you know, a warning of, you know, to watch out for this for yourself. If there was something that we could provide to people even before they go, so they don't wind up getting into that situation. And I know that might seem like we might be a little bit extra cautious, but because I've seen and had seen this happen, it would be nice not to have it happen to us
Right.
and to our seniors.
So you were asking specifically if there's a pamphlet of some sort of flyer available.
There has to be, because of
I
all
agree.
of the new, once they have, they expanded gambling across all states, they have money that's supposedly collected to then provide help to people who might be having those problems, or just a warning to, you know, to let people know, if this is happening, make sure that you're aware of this so that you don't wind up getting in trouble. Probably through the state, you might be able to find something like that. But I would hate to have that happen to any of our seniors, especially if we're increasing casino, you know, trips. And I just don't want that to happen.
Yeah, and the reason why we have decided to increase it is just the popularity of it. We've even had some not affordable housing, but like not the assisted living, but like the 55 and over communities, they'll call every now and then and be like, can we use your vehicle for this? And, you know, so people want to go to these areas, but absolutely we'll support, when we do those things, we'll support them with some literature that can aid them.
I'm wondering if, when we advertise the casino trips, if we could just have something below the advertisement, if that would suffice? And a phone number to call if you're having difficulties, the state phone number, maybe?
Part of the reason I'm also mentioning that is I was trained in behavioral psychology, and one of the things that happens is the most powerful stimulation is intermittent reinforcement. So if you're only going to get that win every once in a while, that's part of what the addiction is for gambling. You're like, oh, it could just happen any minute. I'll just go a little bit further. And that is one of the most powerful ways to get someone to behave in a certain way. And that's what gambling does.
And
that
peer
it's
pressure.
intermittent reinforcement and peer pressure. So, and I'm not saying that anybody who's going to be going on these trips would be doing this, but it can happen. And so I don't want us to get caught up in that. So. And that's part of the reason why it's popular. So.
So moving on, so that was B on Director's Report. Now we're on C for programs. So February, so it's not mentioned here, but February is Black History Month. We had an overwhelming attendance at our railroad, what was it?
Underground Railroad.
Underground Railroad. That was last week. Presenter was Carol Baker. She did a fantastic job. I would say we probably had 30, 35 people show up for that. It was a screen presentation. It went really, really well. I want to thank Jean Inge. She is a frequent visitor over at the Senior Center. She also supplied us with some Black History Month information and some ideas to include into the newsletter and at the Senior Center. So that was really nice to have somebody from that comes to visit the senior center help us out with some of our programming. So that was that was great. So in March, it's Women's History Month, and Casey, what's the date?
March 19th.
March 19th. March 19th, we are going to have an event, a program event in the afternoon. Former Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, Representative Hannah Kane, Select Board Chair Beth Cassavant, as well as Teresa Flynn and Michelle Conlon will be speaking, presenters at the program. And they'll be speaking to empowerment and what they've done as successful leaders within our Shrewsbury community, and they'll be speaking to everybody that comes there. The program will start with a half an hour appetizer / hors d'oeuvres, and then it will go right into the presentation for 1 hour.
What time?
4:30 is when hors d'oeuvres start.
Oh yeah, 4:30 to 5 is the hors d'oeuvre, and then 5 to 6 is the presentation. And you do not nobody has to register for that. It's an open door.
On some of these, are these programs or presentations recorded and saved somewhere?
For this particular one, we do have it booked to have that. Sometimes there's conflicts depending upon if there's something that habitually meets, and unfortunately, on Tuesday evenings, every other Tuesday, the select board does meet, so sometimes that takes away from an extra opportunity that might be able to be recorded, but we always try to if it's possible.
So was the Underground Railroad recorded?
That one was not recorded.
Okay.
Moving on still section C, April is game month, so we're bringing back, last year we had music bingo. This is the same company that did music bingo that our senior center was completely packed with visitors. In April, we're going to have DJ trivia, and what we're trying to get, the word that we're trying to get out for that one is if you've ever played trivia at one of the restaurants or anything like that, it really is a generational opportunity. So it helps to have younger people as well as our age, as well as seniors, middle-aged, everybody, to help answer the questions. You have a better opportunity to win. You can come with your own team, or if you don't have a team when you get there, we can help make one for you. But we expect that that's going to be very successful also. We also had Shrewsbury Feud planned for April. However, with the priorities that I have to think about for the budget cycle and how busy we've just been on a daily basis over at the Senior Center, we've decided to just table the Shrewsbury Feud just for a little bit. We are still going to accept the answers for the Shrewsbury Feud. We had sent out in last month's newsletter and this month's newsletter a QR code where you can answer some of the fun questions that we are planning on asking, and it will all take place just like the regular Family Feud. But again, just because we've been so busy, I've decided to kind of put that one on the back burner, and perhaps we're thinking about having for the month of June, going out kind of with a end of fiscal year bang. So we're thinking we'll move it over to June. Thrill and Chill. Casey, do you want to talk about Thrill and Chill a little bit?
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out things that grandparents can do with their grandkids, especially on April vacation. So April 16th, I believe, we're going to have what we call Chill and Thrill, or Thrill and Chill, whatever. And it will be, like an ice cream social that will be sponsored by Bath Busters, actually. They already signed up to bring in all of the ice cream sundae kind of supplies. And we'll also put out a bunch of board games for the kids to play with their grandparents. And we'll really just encourage people to bring their grandkids in and just come and play games, have some ice cream, hang out, meet some new friends, or whatever.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Casey.
Yeah.
And that's a Tuesday.
Yes.
That is a Tuesday.
Yes.
Moving on to section D, nutrition. So the super sandwiches that happened last month in January was very successful. I think there was only one evening that we had a couple of leftover. The feedback that we received was that people really loved them. They liked having something early enough in the evening where they could still get home. And a lot of people mentioned that they would be willing to even give a donation instead of having it free. So January worked with Assabet because Assabet students were doing it for us, and then we would go pick up the food. It only works while Assabet was actually in session. So really, if you look at the school calendar for the rest of the year, there's not an opportunity where they're not consecutively able to give us the food, which means that we're doing some kind of investigative work, if you will, thanks to Donna and Pat, trying to find out who in Shrewsbury can assist us in getting us meals, and we would do it habitually every Tuesday. So keeping it light with a sandwich or a soup or a sandwich and a salad or something like that. So we're still looking at what our opportunities are, and right now I'm trying to make that a goal for FY25. So we'll take this time to figure out how we can, again, go about offering food, if not for free, at a small donation, similar to what Elder Services does with our congregate dining in the afternoon. So if anybody has any ideas, please let us know. And that goes right into the Tuesday night meals. Recently, it was brought to my attention that Elder Services of Worcester, who comes into the senior center every day, Monday through Friday, they come in at 8 a.m. and they leave around 1 p.m. They provide our Meals on Wheels and our congregate dining. Their volunteers their numbers have gotten very low, especially for drivers. So where we have 150, 175 Shrewsbury residents that are on Meals on Wheels, we need God bless you, we need the drivers to get those meals to them, which also ends up being a wellness check. And in many cases, sometimes that Meals on Wheels driver, that might be the only person that person sees in a day or 2 days or even in a week. So we quickly went into action the other day, created a flyer, started sharing it on social media. It is also going to be, you'll see it in the March newsletter. We printed out a bunch of flyers, and almost within 24 hours, we received, I would say, anywhere from 3 to 5 people that came in saying that they wanted to help. We have also taken a few of the senior tax work-off positions that are available, and we're making that part of the Meals on Wheels volunteers too. So I think that we're definitely headed in a better direction than they were even just a few days ago. So anybody at home or anybody here that wants to help, that would be appreciated. I know Raquel has been assisting when she has availability, because she assists so much in the senior center. But if anybody else at home wants to help out, please just come to the senior center. We're happy to give you an application, and we'll help you along.
And that's an application for
van drivers.
van drivers.
Yep, or they can help in the kitchen. But the thing to remember is, even though you're working out of the senior center, you're working under Elder Services of Worcester Management. So we're the umbrella, and they're in control of that.
Excuse me. Holly, do you want us to continue, like, anytime I see an email for you, especially when you're asking for something and it pops up in Facebook, I immediately repost it just to do you want us to continue to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
That would be great.
Yep, and you probably also noticed, for those that follow us on Facebook, is we've been also trying to incorporate a lot of opportunities for prizes and winnings and things like that, because any opportunity where we can grow our social media audience is a better opportunity for the senior center, especially for those volunteer opportunities, in the programs and the daily activities that happen, because we want to support really all of the instructors that come in on a daily basis too, to offer free opportunities, that we want to make sure that they're getting the seniors there, taking advantage of those. But absolutely, I very much thank you for sharing those posts.
Do you get a report back on how many times the pages are viewed?
I can see within the background of Facebook, and I think you can do the same thing for Instagram too. Casey just recently developed an Instagram page that we'll be promoting for the March newsletter. And so, but in Facebook, yes, I can see who shares, I can see who follows, I can see how many people visit.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
On to section E, the department as a whole. So I'm gonna let Casey go to volunteer appreciation.
Yep, so we have a volunteer appreciation luncheon that is on March 25th at 1 p.m. That's a Monday. Of course, board members are also invited as volunteers. And it will be catered by Napoli, and we're just gonna kind of keep it informal. Just have everyone come in, get some lunch. If you do want to sign up or RSVP, you can just call us at the senior center. You can call me or Donna, or you can just call the main line and say you want to sign up for the volunteer luncheon. We have a sign-up sheet at reception. And we're probably thinking we might do a little bit of bingo too during that, just to have a little extra fun and show our appreciation for all of our volunteers, because we couldn't function without them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yep. AARP and the Health Foundation is next on our agenda. So there are 2 grants coming that are here that I'm in the process of applying for. The AARP grant is the Community Challenge Grant. The AARP offers this every single year. It's quite the competitive grant because the entire U.S. can apply for it. This year, in the application process, I'll again be requesting the grant monies to support the Hoot Board that I would really like to get. The Hoot Board is the tech kiosk, which also comes with applications availability to download on your phone. We feel as though this opportunity to have that is a bit, just another way for us to get our information out. We really are excited about the idea of us possibly having an app, because one of the things that we get back all the time is especially class cancellations, but what's coming down the pike. And you know, if somebody only wants to know about outreach, there'll be an outreach tab. If somebody only wants to know about nutrition, whatever the case might be, and also have the links to the other departments such as fire, police, library, things like that. So that's what I'm hoping to get from the AARP Community Grant Challenge. And the other one that Renee had shared with me was from the Health Foundation of Central Massachusetts. And evidently this is also has been an annual opportunity that has come up. And what I'm applying for there is I'm seeking the total amount of $125,000. They range from $60,000 to $125,000. And what I'm seeking there is floor replacement for the entire senior center. So it's crazy when you hear Health Foundation of Central Massachusetts, you're thinking, I'm sure immediately you were thinking, what kind of program is Holly going to want to offer with that? That's actually not this particular grant. What they're trying to do is support capital requests for various places such as the senior center, municipalities and things like that, to better improve and enhance the experience of entering one of these supportive places, because we are a supportive resource establishment. So I've been working very hard on that, getting some quotes, and it looks as though to do the whole floor in the senior center, the carpet, the linoleum, the ceramic tile, if we were to do it at the very top of the tier of the quotes that I received, it's a $168,000 project. Now that is like redoing the bathrooms, redoing the kitchens, everything. So again, the grant is the maximum amount is for $125,000. So if we were to get the grant, but then perhaps we didn't have enough funds to fund the rest, the portion that I would leave undone are the restrooms, which would bring us right back down to the $125,000. Believe it or not, to redo the restrooms costs almost $28,000. to put in ceramic tile versus linoleum. From what I've been told, to have ceramic tile in case there should be a leak is better than if you were to have a regular floor tile. So they gave us the quote for both. So again, if I wanted to be at the top of the tier for renovations, that's where it would be. Moving on, so the senior center loaner tablets. So if we were to get the AARP community grant for the hoop board and the tech, I would then want to develop a tablet loaner program out of the senior center. So people at home who might not have any kind of device, and this would be for someone that does not own another smart device, would be able to have this tablet for a specified amount of time and be able to utilize the app, be able to watch programs from the tablet. So we're planning on streaming some of our programs that will go right into the app. So the people would always have it. It would then be recorded. People could download it. We get that a lot for some of our fitness classes that we offer. People know that it's on media communication, but you have to be watching the TV at the right times to do it. So that's where I just wanted to kind of put a bug in everybody's ear that I'm planning on doing that with the other.
How many tablets?
Well, I haven't quite decided yet. A tablet, if we were to go with an iPad, they cost about $200 that we can see, $250. So whatever is in our budget, I would say minimum of 6, maybe maximum of 12, just to see how the program starts out first. And by getting, before doing it, putting out like a little questionnaire, how many people would want one? Please respond to this, so we know before we spend the money.
Another resource for Shrewsbury residents who are clients of Elder Services of Worcester area, they also have a tablet program that they provide, so,
I wonder if the library does.
I'm not sure.
yeah.
I know Lori has.
Yes, Laurie.
Do you have to have Wi-Fi in your home for it to work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
So Renee already touched on Selco Internet a little bit, but one of the things that I wanted to mention was when we did have the meeting with Selco, some of the things that happen are, especially with the new program that's starting, I was thinking about Renee and I were thinking, how can we assist those people with Selco, because their prices are going to go up a little bit, and we thought perhaps we could help assist paying for the first time sign-up fee, and I think it's $35 or somewhere in that amount. I believe that's what they said. And so my thought was really kind of working with Selco a little bit more and having somebody pay their bill, show us the bill that they paid, and then we could reimburse them that amount. Just, again, some assistance wherever we can for Shrewsbury seniors.
In town, we've had cable for a really long time. And starting in August,
Yes.
it's only going to be streaming. And I don't know how many seniors are focused on that, whether they realize that that's coming. So I don't know if that can be something for outreach to make sure, because what's going to happen in the end is there's going to be a rush to have everything done. And I know that when my mom, when her Comcast went out, she felt alone, because that was her entertainment and her connection to the world. And I don't know if that's something that we can look into to make sure our seniors don't all of a sudden, they don't have that connection any longer, and then they're stuck for a couple weeks in order to make it happen. So maybe through our the Meals on Wheels or whatever, I'm not sure.
The newsletter too, I would think.
Yep, so we've already done all of that. We've worked with Selco. Selco's had a few programs over here. They have also put out that when that change happens, people can sign up and people actually go to their home to help them kind of navigate through that first opportunity, which is where we're coming up with the additional thing of being able to help them financially, you know, at that first changeover, because we understand that that's going to be a little scary for them already, but being able to assist them where they can. Selco's been fantastic. They've had meetings over here where people can show up. They've put things on the television. We've had, I think, 2 or 3 over at the senior center, and it has been in our newsletter almost every month. So that support is definitely there.
It is a challenging changeover. We did it at our house a few months ago, and it's like, oh my gosh, I got to learn a whole new way of using my remote here.
Yep.
It's not easy.
We did it as well, and I find that the person who came to our house to do the transition was incredibly helpful and sensitive to the fact that we may not be as savvy as someone who's 30 years old, and it was, I think the folks that are going into people's homes to set this up are really well-trained and very sensitive.
That's
Yeah,
great.
The Selco staff here down the hall are really helpful.
Oh,
also.
very helpful.
And they can
Yeah.
set that up for you if you
Yes.
need it.
Yep. So they understand. When we first heard it, the first thing Renee did was reach out to them, and because we knew that, you know, we would get the phone calls, and we've received a few, but really not a lot.
Yeah. Really.
Honestly, most of what we get is, oh, my bill's going up $15 or $20 or something like that, you know, which that portion of it, to a certain degree, is out of our hands. You know, that is just something that happens. So.
Well, the other thing is, a lot of times, if you're not even sort of tech savvy, or if somebody always takes care of that for you,
Yeah.
you just kind of tone it out.
Right.
Even if you're getting the information, you don't understand what it is you're getting, and it's like, oh, well, somebody will take care of that, but then they'll get hit with not having the service, and I just, it would be nice if we can diminish that happening to as many people, so.
Yep.
And not everybody has Wi-Fi, and if they don't have Wi-Fi, they don't have.
Right.
Right.
Well, one of the things that I really liked what Selco did is they started months and months and months ago letting people know that this was going to happen. You know, it wasn't just something like, here's 2 months. I mean, this has been like 10 months now that they've been advertising that this, but probably even longer, that this change was coming. And we've been aware of this so we can support wherever we can.
Great.
Yep. So the last one, the sunflower mascot. So I attend the department head meetings, and I'm on a couple of other committees where the town is, their plan is to start increasing the amount of community opportunities that Shrewsbury offers, that the town of Shrewsbury offers. And as everybody knows, I, on a couple of occasions, a few months back, dressed up as a sunflower. I love doing that. Honestly, it makes me very, very happy. However, my costume needs a little bit of improvement. So I've reached out to various mascot agencies, and believe it or not, they're talking like $7,000 for us to get, like, to make a particular mascot costume, you know, but that's with the fans and things like that. And people are probably wondering, why do I do that? Because when you attend those community events, no matter what, whether it was a young child or a senior, or no matter what the age was, you know, you get the people that are looking, you get the people that come over and say hi, and it does bring that attraction, and it is part of our brand. I mean, the sunflower is about longevity and happiness, and so I'll be reaching out to the community to also see if there's anybody that can help me kind of make a better mascot costume. So I wanted to first mention it here because I know people are looking at home. But if anybody has some ideas, I'd be totally up for meeting with people one-to-one. I'm looking for a gender-neutral costume, so I can still go out and participate in the way we did back when the police department was opening. So I did just want to mention that, because I have a lot of fun doing that, and I think a lot of people had fun. And I get to dance with Sparky the fire dog, too, so not many people can say that. So that is what we have written on our agenda. I don't know if anybody has any questions for any of us, anything we want to talk about?
Anything? I do plan on the strategic plan. I do plan to convene a a meeting, and I know Rachel, you're interested in
Raquel.
Raquel, in attending that, so I'll be contacting you, and anyone else who would like to attend, let me know, but we need to decide what to do next. Anything else?
I think the only other thing I can mention is that I've had a couple of meetings to discuss the future of the FY25 budget. It's still in the works, and I really don't have any updates as of yet. I know that Town Manager David Snowden is working with all of the departments to iron out all of the requests that you get, and I think there's like 4 different stages, and we're just almost done with stage 1. So as soon as I have more information, I will certainly let everybody know.
Anything else? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
In favor, everyone?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy
Happy
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.